Hi everyone, this is Karen from Alpha, your Agile Evangelist, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be talking about something that's really critical in the Agile space. So this has been a highly requested video, so I am so happy that finally I am able to bring this to you today. So today we will be talking about metrics in Scrum. Now, if this is your first time here, you are most welcome. Please go ahead and click that subscription button, turn the notification bell so that you stay in sync with what we share here on weekly basis. So just so that you understand what we are doing here, every week we upload new contents that will, help us enhance our understanding, enhance our knowledge, and keep the learning alive as far as Agile, Scrum, project management, product development is concerned. And specifically, most of the content we share here is based on my real life experience. So, I have gone through all sorts of challenges throughout this journey. So I thought that there may be some other people out there who may probably go through this same challenge or who are currently going through the same challenge. That is what really inspired me to, start sharing my experience so that I may be able to give back to the community by just reaching out to someone, helping someone figure out whatever issue they are facing in the Agile space, So that's exactly what we do here. So thank you so much for connecting. Now, if you are a returning subscriber, if you are a returning viewer, I just want to appreciate you. It's been amazing. People reach out to me all the time and say, Karen, you inspire me so much. I just want to say thank you and all that. You don't even understand that you are the one inspiring me. You are the rock stars. The reason why I am even able to show up here every week is because of you. If you were not there to listen to me, if you were not there to support me, there is no way I will be able to show up here. There is no way I would have been able to keep the fire burning. So it's all because of you that I'm able to keep showing here every week. So thank you so much. Have you been able to check the subscription count? If you check the subscription count, you understand what I'm saying. It's just been a couple of months that I decided to start sharing my real life experience. The support has been amazing. It's been amazing. It's so inspiring. Thank you so much. Let us keep this going. Good things are happening. Good things will keep happening. So please, let's not stop. Let's not stop. Keep pushing me. Keep inspiring me. Keep motivating me. And I promise you, I'm not going to stop anytime soon. Thank you so much for your amazing, amazing support. Now, let's get started. What exactly is metrics in Scrum? So Scrum has something we call metrics, which is like the data that we gather every sprint that helps us to evaluate and make decisions, identify areas for improvement based on facts, based on what we call in Scrum empiricism, which simply means that you are making future decisions to either improve, to either make decisions for the business based on real data that you've been able to collect. So there are so many different tools that we use in Scrum to collect these data, or what we call metrics. But today I am just going to narrow down the content on just some few specific ones that I feel that are commonly used in the Scrum environment, especially during the sprints, that helps add value to the customer, helps add value to the team, especially, which is our focus. So these metrics help us, to identify where we are falling behind, how well we are doing as the sprint is progressing, and see how we can make adjustments in order to stay on track with the goals that we've set for ourselves. So that will be basically what we will be talking about today. So please stay tuned. The content for today is just an excerpt from one of our classes last week. So I decided to grab that excerpt because it's been highly requested and come on here and share with you. Just before we jump right into the content, if you are looking for more than just what we share here on weekly basis, like one-on-one mentoring and coaching, to succeed in your Agile path, please reach out to us. Go to the description box. You will get our direct contact information. Reach out to us and we will determine an action plan for you after evaluating your gaps and see exactly what you need. We'll come up with an action plan on how to close your gap. Thank you so much. Now, let's jump right into the flesh of our content today. The primary reason should be how it's adding value to the team. For instance, if you choose to use a Burndown chart, you need to first of all start by asking, what problem am I trying to solve with establishing a Burndown chart? So a typical reason why a Burndown chart will be needed is if the team continuously is carrying work over. They are not completing their stories. They end up with a lot of open stories at the end of the sprint. So at that point, you think, okay, you need a Burndown chart so that it can help us, especially every day during stand-up, to monitor how we are progressing, and then we make adjustments accordingly. Please, if you're not talking, mute. Thank you. All right. So yeah, so that's where you should come from before even establishing any metrics like the Burndown chart as an example. All right, so everything I just said is summarized here. So this is a purpose to track the workflow of the completion of work throughout the sprint. Track the hours that are burned down every day. No, they pick the amount of work accomplished versus the amount of work left to go. That way, you know if you should relax or if you need to, get more serious. Visually represents progress achieved within the sprint. An information radiator that shows anyone who wants to know the status of the sprint. That's why this one bullet point is the last, because of the reason I just explained to you all. That shouldn't be the primary reason. So this is how it works. For a Burndown chart to even work properly, these are the prerequisites. So there must be tasks existing. So your team, it shouldn't only end at story level. But again, that's in the ideal world. So when you start working, you realize that all these things that we are talking about are the things that you are not seeing already. Let's say you joined a team and the Scrum team is already existing most of the time. Most of the time, trust me, I've never joined a team in my entire 8.5 years doing this, and I see them doing metrics correctly. Throughout, I've always been the one helping them to establish this. They may have stories in there, they will not even bother to task them out. They may have tasks, but they will not even bother to estimate, put their real estimate. Even if they have estimate, they may not even bother to update as they progress. So because of all that, the result of the Burndown chart will not make sense and it will not add any value. So that's where you come in as a Scrum Master to identify all these anti-patterns and then you try to help them. So these are the prerequisites. Team must first implement a task breakdown, which usually happens at sprint planning. Tasks should have hour estimates. This is an ideal for me. Like I said earlier, some teams choose to go by story points in a task level, which I don't do that because I think it's not very good. It doesn't help that Burndown chart to really burn down appropriately and give you the information you need. And yeah, so I choose to go with I choose to coach my teams in using hours instead of points at task level. So this is a best practice. It doesn't mean it should be so. This simply means that so for most organizations I've worked with, full-time employees, they consider their full working productive hours to be 6 hours. So contractors will normally be 8 hours productivity, but for full-time employees, they consider 6 hours. That is 1 hour for your break and then 1 hour maybe for other things, other administrative things, but they consider 6 hours as productive time. So that's why Scrum is recommending that if you are estimating your task shouldn't be bigger than you are able to complete it for 2 days. That is, if if you need more than 2 days to complete a task, then you need to break it down further. So for that reason, that's why you see I put in 12 hours here, considering that it's a full-time, all my team members are full-time employees. So that's the ideal. All right. Okay, so, and then this is the most important, even if all this is in place, remaining work should be updated daily on the sprint board. So that's something you would need to set as a standard with your team, help them understand that that's what is needed for the Burndown chart to read appropriately. So keep in mind that most teams struggle with this. So that's where you have to be firm and make them understand that it's not, you're not backing out, you're not backing down. Then you will keep pushing until they get to start doing this and staying consistent on doing it. All these things are things that are really mixing anti-patterns and stuff. So this is what I originally wanted to show you all, but I thought I should just explain a little bit further for your understanding. So this is a typical Burndown chart, right? So normally the vertical axis would normally represent the days of the sprints. I do, what's that? No, I do, what was that? I'm not sure. Okay, so these represent the time. That is the length of the sprint. Typically, it's 10 days if we are assuming that we are in a 2-week sprint iteration. So this is the 10 days. No. Now, this here, this straight line here is the ideal line, which means, so in most of the Jira, the tools like Jira, Azure DevOps, you'll see there, they usually have a straight line on a typical Burndown chart, which represents the ideal line, which simply means that as you're burning down your work from day one, right? So this, I didn't put the days here because the audience that I created this for, they already understood what it takes. So, but as you're burning down your work from day one, we want to remain below this ideal line right until the last day of the sprint. That's the goal. And that's what tells us if our sprint is still in track, if we are still on track in meeting our sprint goal. Like it says here, we are doing very well because we are still below this line. At this point, you can even consider adding some stories in your backlog because it says you're doing very well, even though it's still very early, you know, because this is like the second day of the sprint right here. It may still be the second day of the sprint. So yeah, but this simply means that we are doing well right below this line. And then when you see this, as you're burning down your work, it starts moving up above this line, all this area means danger. So you need to start looking for what's going on, what's wrong, why are we falling behind? Clearly it's danger. And this is already almost like day 8 of the sprint. So clearly, so once you're able to figure out what the issue is, like typical issues would be maybe we underestimated the work, and then at that point you need to go into your sprint backlog, evaluate it, and maybe you're breaking down the work further, pulling part out of the sprints back into the backlog, or you're just pulling out the whole story back into the backlog. Or you're adding more resource. I don't like calling it resource, adding more people or team members to help complete that work so you're meeting your sprint goal. Because most of the time, if you need to pull out some work back out of the sprint, it means that you will need to re-establish your sprint goal for the most part. So, excuse me, there are so many reasons why you fall behind. Another typical reason may be maybe you're doing well, but team members are not updating their board. So it's going to show like you're not working. So once you're able to take all the corrective actions, you know, you see that you start falling back on track. The line falls back below the ideal line. See, so that's just how you interpret the burnout chart. Any question?
Thank you very much, Karim, for this. This is very insightful. Karim, just a quick one, right? Talking about the ideal line, is it already predetermined by default, or how do you come about the ideal line?
Yes, it's predetermined by default.
Okay.
Yes. So the only thing that you control, not like manually control, like the data that drives this other part, the work that's burning down, is all this that I just explained here.
Yeah,
So once you're
I
able to
get you.
put all this in your board, your sprint board, and you're following all these things that I just mentioned, you're updating it as you're burning down your work, you're updating on a daily basis, this will automatically be populating here. But the ideal line comes with the burn down chart.
Okay.
So okay, so yeah, so that's it for the burn down chart. And then let's talk about so for the release burn down chart is basically the same thing. But now the only difference, I mean, it's almost the same thing. So the only difference is that with the release burn down chart, you're tracking how you're burning the work for the release as opposed to for the sprints on the burn down chart, on the sprints burn down chart. That's just it. So which means instead of just 2 weeks, you'll be tracking how you're burning the work for the release. Let's say if you're releasing quarterly, you'll be tracking how the work is burning down for the 3 months that you've originally predicted that you may complete the release. So that's just all.
So, Karen, invariably, will it be right to say the release burn down charts also adds value apart from tracking?
Yeah, the release burn down chart, it's just as valuable as a sprint burn down chart in the sense that, let's say, for example, if you're already in sprints, let's say sprint 4, which means it's the second month, and then you
Okay.
realize that your prediction, you've predicted to have completed, let's say, for example, okay, from here to here is sprint 1, right? From 0 to this is sprint 1. So let's
Yeah.
say if you have originally predicted to complete maybe 90 story points by the end of sprint 1, and then you realize that you've only completed 50. Okay, that gives you a call for concern. You want to check what's going on, how can we adjust, how can we fall back on track, what are the corrective actions we can take. That's just what it is. So let's assume that these are sprint 1 up to sprint 6 here, and then these are the story points. Let's assume that we'd originally estimated that by sprint 6, right, we would have completed 270 story points. Now you see that by sprint 6, we've completed 360. So it means we are doing excellent. If by sprint 6 we were at here, it means we did not meet our our release commitment. But let's say this was our commitment. We thought, we predicted, I don't want to call it commitment, this was our prediction. So we predicted 270, and then we ended up completing 360. So we did great. So now we need to use this new information we've gathered to adjust the next release, assuming that it means we are capable of completing 360. So next release planning, that's what you will be taking into account. So that's it. So let's talk about velocity here. I've already consumed 18 minutes, 17, because we started 1 minute over. All right, let's talk about velocity. So sprint velocity. The vertical axis typically represents the story points. The horizontal axis represents the sprints, just like in the release burn down chart. So the same way you calculate, you're tracing or you're tracking your work, your progress for a longer period of time on the release thing is the same for velocity. Let's say for the first sprint, so the blue, this blue one represents your commitment, your sprint commitment. This is sprint 1. Let's focus on sprint 1 only. The green one represents the actual, what you actually did, like the reality. So you predicted 15, this is below 15, it's around 17. You predicted 17 story points. You were able to keep up to your commitment. You're able to keep up to it. So it means you did well. So with this, you and your team would be like, okay, maybe we can push a little bit further. And sometimes you can meet your commitment, but it doesn't mean that you're doing excellent. It may also be that you people overestimated the work. So you need to go and start looking into these things. Do we really overestimated this work? or did we did we really just bump up the thing knowingly? And that would be a very bad behavior if you people actually did it intentionally, like just exaggerated the estimation intentionally. That will be bad behavior. In that case, you would want to go back and start looking into your values. What values are you really reflecting as a team? If you think your team is not honest based on data, again, empiricism, that's where you want to start, coaching them on adopting Scrum values and reflecting them. Yeah, but there are so many different reasons why it may show like this, and it may be that you people are really, really doing well. Again, this is just the first sprint. So based on this data, the next sprint, so as you can see here, because they were able to meet their commitment, they had to push it up a little bit. So now they committed to almost 19 here instead of 17. But this time they did not meet it. So they only were able to complete like 12 and a half, 13. So yeah, so that's how you track velocity. So again, this one is not manual or anything. Once you're able to configure all that on your tool, then it automatically tracks everything for you. But the key is, as a Scrum Master, you should be able to interpret it, because most of the time, for the most part, during review meetings, you will be the one demoing this, even though the product owner should really be doing this. But throughout my experience, I've always been the one demoing it. And if I'm coaching, I am coaching Scrum Masters to be able to do it as well. So again, you need to know how to do it. So now, what is the velocity average velocity? Let's say it's a new team, or you're just starting on a new product or new project. You'd want to work for the first sprint, second sprint, third sprint. You sum up the velocity for sprint 1. I mean the actual velocity. You sum up all the green ones, sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, and then divided by 3. So sprint 1 velocity is about 17 plus 13 plus plus 18, and then divided by 3. It's going to give you the average. So that's what you want to set as your baseline. So if you add all that, I'm not sure what the sum is. It's going to give you a baseline. So from sprint 4, you're thriving towards achieving that baseline that you set. That's how it works. For some teams that are really very new to Agile, that are still, they've not even matured even one bit, the recommendation is to go up to 5 sprints before you set the baseline. So you'll be summing up all the actual velocity for all the 5 sprints divided by 5 to set up a baseline. All right, that's it. Any question? That will be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you were able to learn something from it today. Please go ahead and make use of the comment section if you have questions, if you have other thoughts, if you have other metrics that you think would be valuable in the Scrum environment. Please go ahead and share it. That's why we are here. We are not just here for you to listen to me. I also want to learn. Just like I said, among all the reasons why I started this in the first place, one of which is most important is because I want to keep the learning alive. I want to keep the Agile learning burning. So please, I appreciate it when you share your thoughts as well based on your own experience. So please use the comment section, share your thoughts. Also, if you still haven't subscribed, go ahead, turn on that subscription button, turn on the notification bell so that you will stay in sync with what we do here on a weekly basis. Join the winning train. Don't be left behind. Be part of this success story. Thank you so much. Hope to talk to you next week. Bye.